Well, hello, and welcome once again to the Far From Normal radio show. And I've got my brother, as always, Mr. Bud Veno. How are you doing, Bud?
Yo, and my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss, July 24th, baby, 2018, with Pete, the real deal McNeil, right alongside as usual, Jay. And I got so much energy as usual, Jay. I'm bursting at the seams, real deal. How's it going this Tuesday? Humid?
Awesome. Oh, awesome. But yes, it is humid in Illinois. Yeah. Woo.
Where's Pete?
Hey, Pete McNeil.
Guys, what's up? I am feeling wonderful and blessed. There's even a better reason why. As I may I quote this?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. There's even a better reason why. From a recent hearing that I've attended, from this little attorney lady who had maybe some personal feelings about me, squawking. And the reason why I feel so good that I'm on this show is because when she squawked, she said, I got to take off my glasses. He's still on the radio show.
That's bad. We've laughed about that. How many messages have we said that? God, we'll be all serious. Jay, Pete, get ready because tonight is the Far From Normal radio show, baby. Get ready.
And I feel wonderful, and just to let everybody know, family stays together and supports each other, and no matter what, I am not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We're a family. That's it. So
we are family. I'm so blessed, Jay, because I've been riding alongside you for almost 2 years, brother. Ride or die. Say that a family sticks together, baby. And a family doesn't always just agree. They tell each other when they're off course, too. And we've talked about that, too. We've done that in a beautiful way. And, again, we've been supported by so many wonderful people, Jay and Pete. Pete, you used the appropriate word, blessed. Absolutely. And, Jay, before we get rolling, I got to quickly say, if you guys saw it, I was visited today by a brother of mine, Shane Jubert, who I haven't hung out with in about 25 years. And let me tell you, it was probably, I said top 3, but it was probably the most genuine, awesome, movie type of loving hug in tears. I mean, I missed this kid, and we didn't skip a beat. We were laughing, and it was just such a blessing. Thank you to Shane out there. Can't wait to meet the fam. Awesome day, guys. Humid, but amazing.
Very humid here, too, in New York, Brooklyn.
Yes. Yeah, we had it in Illinois as well, and it's so humid. You walk outside and you're sweating, even though you're standing still. It's crazy. But in that same respect, we got somebody else who's red hot out there in the state of New Jersey, out there with Fan-Pac, David Kalen. David, how are you doing this evening?
I am fantastic tonight, guys. Thank you very much for opening your airways to me and my organization, Fan-Pac. We share your message. We share your desire to change the world. and we're here to do it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure my co-host would like to thank you as well.
Absolutely, David. As I said off the air, humbled, very humbled. Thanks for joining us. Glad again. We all have our strengths, and again, you said it perfectly too. It's about the children off the air, and again, humbled. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to say, again, to those people out there in the state of New Jersey, you need to be tuning in, definitely, because Fan-Pac out there has worked with other organizations, including Americans for Equal Share Parenting, and Fan-Pac has worked on 2 specific bills. We've got A1091 and we've got S273, and both are identical out there, but both are for equal share parenting with the presumption rebuttal out there. So David, you guys are doing amazing things out there. Can you explain a little bit about the bills out there and kind of give that great promotion out there for those bills, and so people can really get behind you guys in this effort?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And again, thank you all for opening up your community to us. These bills are, again, they're really very simple, and they're all predicated on one basic thing: that our children do better when they have access to both a mother and a father. And regardless, if the family is intact, that's great. If the family is not intact, the children still need to have that love, the full love, the nurturing, the support of both mom and dad, regardless of the structure of the family. And we all know that today's families come in different shapes and sizes anyway, compared to how it was when I was a kid. You know, the traditional family really doesn't exist anymore. We have all different kinds of families. And that's what we want to make sure that the children didn't ask to be brought into a certain type of family. They're there. But once they're there, we need to protect them. We need to make sure that they have the ability to grow and develop in a healthy environment. And when it's not happening, as a government, as a society, we need to step in and say and do whatever we can to ensure that they have access to that love, because that's what makes their life worth living. So having that said, the specific answer to your question, these bills are very simple. They take our existing statute here in New Jersey and add 2 very simple lines to it. The first is that there is a rebuttable presumption that both mom and dad are fit parents and therefore should have equal access and joint legal custody for their minor children, unless, and here's the second part, unless it can be proven by preponderance or, a clear and convincing evidence that the child is in danger of being with one of those 2 parents. And in the absence of that, when you go in, we believe that the child or time of the child should never be used as leverage in court. And that's what this law intends to undermine, is one party's ability to use leverage. And that's just not acceptable to us. So we have some great partners here in New Jersey, especially in our assembly. We've got a broad-based bipartisan support from assemblymen and some wonderful support from assembly women here that we're really blessed and proud to have on our side. They've been great. We call them all champions for our children. That's what we call our legislative partners here in New Jersey. And we can't be more proud of those who have signed on with us and who continue to advocate for this. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Well, definitely. Thank you so much, obviously, for championing and kind of working together in correlation with all of these different groups and national groups that are out there and doing a 50-50 presumption bill, because obviously this is needed in how we talk about these things. And yeah, look, I get that there are constitutionalists. I really do. I feel for you. I do agree with you that these are God-given rights under the Constitution. I absolutely agree with you 100%. But legislation needs to back that up. And how we do that is we pass some of these bills. We get the correct wording in there to protect the children of our society, because David, and we kind of talked about this a little bit off the air about Illinois and how their standards are, and it's almost laughable that Illinois has passed a 50-50 bill for animals or dogs, but they won't pass a 50-50 bill for children. It's almost laughable and it's embarrassing. And I know that you're working hard within your state to get some of these things across, because ultimately it comes down to the children. That's why we're in this so-called movement or community, so to speak, is to try and help these children. So I greatly applaud Fan-Pac for being able to do that. And I know my brother over there, Peter McNeil, obviously out there in New Jersey, or close to New Jersey. You're in New York, actually in Brooklyn. So, but your family lives in New Jersey. So this ultimately is going to help somebody like Peter McNeil as well. Yeah, Pete.
Peter, come across the bridge through the tunnel. You're welcome here anytime, my friend.
Yeah,
join us.
I'm always there. I mean, my cases are all in New Jersey and Bergen County. You know, I'm always out there visiting family and friends and stuff like that. And I'm more than happy to join anything that you're doing. I know New Jersey is a very tough state. They do claim to, in the courts, they do claim to have the best interest of the child. But in actuality, a lot of things are overlooked, especially in my situation. And I think that a lot of judges and attorneys can do a better job. It's all about having the cojones for actually to make positive decisions and really reflect that it is in the child's best interest. And I agree with what you said wholeheartedly, that with both parents, and that's statistically proven, even if whether the families don't get along, whether they do get along, when they have both parents in their life, the child always does better. Mm-hmm. There's facts and data all over. I always read up on that and everything like that. And I completely agree with you. And like I said, especially in my case, you know, unfortunately, most of the time I get the short end of this. Well, my son, I would say, gets the short end of the stick. And, you know, we need to work harder and together on getting these things passed.
Yep. And
well, you have committed partners in us. And you know, I really have to say before we go too much further that Fan-Pac is led by a gentleman by the name of Rafael Franco. He has been an absolute pit bull when it comes to this. And Rafael is a veteran. He has served his country, our country. And he had to come back. He came back from combat, came back from the theater, and had to fight for just to see his kids.
Yep.
In what society do we accept that as being okay?
Right.
It just boggles my mind that we can marginalize the role of an American hero in the lives of his children. It just isn't right. Yeah. And that's just his case as a veteran. But again, just like Pete just said, there isn't one measure, health measure, whether you're talking about teen pregnancies or incarceration, suicide rates. These are all higher, significantly higher for children who don't have access to both mom and dad. Their matriculation through educational cycles is much worse than children that have access to both mom and dad. And maybe even more important than anything else, unfortunately, because we oftentimes talk about money when it comes to these things, children that come from these broken homes, these dysfunctional families, are much more likely to end up on public assistance as adults and be less productive as adults. So there isn't one argument that you could make that would suggest that this is okay. And when you talk about the pure numbers of it, in New Jersey, for example, there are approximately 27,000 divorces every year in New Jersey. And not everyone has minor kids involved. Not everyone, of course, becomes a drawn out litigation where the kids are in the middle. But we've come up with a number between us and the Bar Association, the administrative office of the courts. We roughly estimate about 10% of those cases have minor kids. So you talk about 5,400 kids a year, just by doing the simple math, that are impacted by this. Wow. Just think about what that number is, and then that number obviously compounds on itself every year, and it becomes intergenerational, where the next generation of kids become it's untenable, and it's so dysfunctional and so unhealthy for our society that we all have to recognize this is a public health crisis.
Absolutely, it is. And you just do the math in your head, and you're talking about 54,000 children that are going through this a year.
5,400 in New Jersey.
5,400.
5,400 in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, yeah, just in New Jersey alone. So we're talking about compound that on type of 18 years of children that are actually still in the system. That's a lot of freaking kids. that are put through this, and that's just the family courts alone, people. I mean, we're not even dabbing into what we'll dab into in our second hour with CPS and DCF and all of the issues there. Yeah.
It sets. I'm sorry, Jay. It sets a tone for our future children and marriages. You know, that's the big part. After generation, the kid turns around and says, my mother and father, they always fought. I had to see my dad on weekends, or, you know, my mom on weekends, or whatever, how they want to word it. That affects the child when they get older. And then if they get divorced, you don't want that to happen. You always want better for your children. But then that whole cycle repeats itself. If not, it's worse. And it's like you come to accept certain things, and then you don't, and you're back in court and you're fighting, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on appeals and therapy and all this other stuff. The buck needs to stop here, and it needs to stop today, because the future generations are going to be even worse and more impacted than what we're up against right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And David, I know that we talked also as well before we came on about your major oppositions in this bill. And I think it's the same as several others, but you had a great thing to say about this. We know it's the Bar Association. We know it's domestic violence people and their issues there. But you had a great point to say about the domestic violence people who should be on board. I want to give you that opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, you know, and our point is really fairly simple. And it's not, I just can't get how people don't understand it. This type of legislation is empowering. It empowers moms and dads, and more importantly, in how they interrelate to their children, to have lives after separation. Right. Those healthy relationships that we develop both during our marriage and then after our marriage are the behaviors that our kids model, right? The more dysfunctional our relationships are as their parents, the more dysfunctional their relationships are. And the more likely it is that you see these instances of domestic violence perpetuate through the generation. The more we marginalize the importance of these relationships, the more children themselves feel as though relationships themselves can be marginalized. And just like Pete just said, it doesn't make any sense to have dysfunctionality amongst mom and dad picking winners and losers in a family court, because at the end of the day, those two children, right, that 2.1 children per family sort of statistic, those are the ones who are being taught these very bad series of behaviors. So we believe that shared parenting legislation, this rebuttable presumption that 50-50 parenting is the right thing, empowers mothers and fathers post-separation to have their own healthy lives, both personally and professionally, and share those with their children. And that's where the true love, nurturing, and support that parents bring can come from. It can't come from conflict. It has to come from a place of love and of strength. And that's what empowering bills do. That's why we consider this to be a bill of empowerment.
Right. And that's 100% right. And I think that, you know, the major issue that I see that people with domestic violence are not seeing is that this presumption rebuttal is specifically for you. It's specifically for the domestic violence community. If you have been, if you have gone through domestic violence and that has been adjudicated within a criminal court, because that's the court you need to go to. It's a criminal activity. Battery, abuse, domestic violence, that's a criminal issue. Take that to the criminal court, get it adjudicated. And then this presumption rebuttal is specifically in these bills to make sure that the children and you are safe. It's in there for that specific reason. And we want to make sure that we are putting children should be with two fit and loving parents. And fit and loving go hand in hand, because you have to have, normally in a lot of these courts, David, and I know that you can attest to this as well, a lot of these courts are skipping right over the fitness hearing and going directly into what's in the best interest of the children factor, and then you have a judge who's deciding what's in that best interest of the child. So when we get into these, my thought is that presumption rebuttal specifically, a lot of the times is in there specifically for the domestic violence people. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, it's again, we look at this as children first legislation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether we like it or not, there are bad people, which means sometimes there are bad parents.
Right.
But we can't legislate that, right? You can't legislate people's behaviors. So just this legislation, just like it doesn't intend to do that.
Right.
It just simply and kids have right to crappy parents too. It's just it's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Until we come up with a way, to monitor who's allowed to have children or not, kids are going to have crappy parents. It's just part of the dynamic. They've been in existence since the dawn of time. But again, our point with this is there are too many good moms and dads who are being marginalized by a family court that's ill-equipped to really recognize and understand what these quote-unquote best interests of the child are. And let me give you an example here in New Jersey. Our initial meetings with legislators centered around the judges. Who are the judges in the family court, right? Some of them are experienced. Some of them have a breadth and depth of understanding and do have a true expertise. But many judges here in New Jersey, in New Jersey, by the way, judges are appointed. They're not elected as they are in some other states and commonwealths. Right. They're appointed. And many of them are forced to cut their teeth, if you will, make their bones in the family court, where they may never have practiced family law before. They may never have walked into a courtroom that deals with these issues. Right. And when it comes to custody, and I'm sure your audience is very familiar with this, if there is a question of custody, one parent or the other has to file a motion, right, to set a custody order, both physical and legal custody of a child, right? So what's that process like? One party files a motion, the other party replies to it, but isn't response. And then maybe if you're both represented by counsel, then you have a hearing before a judge for 10 or 15 minutes, if you're lucky, where your lawyers talk. Neither mom nor dad is ever really heard from, and you now have a custody order that is supposed to somehow reflect the best interests of the child. How is that possible?
You know, I like to jump in on that because I actually been going for custody for a couple of times, and basically what would happen in the courts is exactly what you said. You'd file a motion. But a lot of judges, and I would say in certain Bergen County, a lot of them rely on third parties. Now, when two parties go and file a motion or one party files a motion for custody, there's factors. There's many factors into taking that for custodial exchange. There's state to state. There's the best interest of the child. And what they do is because the judge doesn't want to make that decision based on even if the facts are solid and the child wants to go with the other parent, what they do is they involve a third party, which would be a custody evaluator. Custody evaluators start at $10,000. And now if mom wanted a custody evaluator because dad has the child, mom would have to foot that bill. They're not going to split it. You understand? So now you're talking another $10,000 on top of your $7,000 legal fees and another 8 to 12 month process in between of all that. So in my situation, my ex refuses to even go. And I had to go to court 3 times, one on an enforcement order. She still doesn't go, and there's no sanctions. So what do you do from there? Like, you know what I mean? There has to be a judge that steps up and says, hey, this is what you were told to do by the family court, superior court, and this is what needs to be done. Here's sanctions, here's this, here's that. Next time you go to jail, you don't listen. That's the bottom line. So, but that's not being done in the courts. They're getting softer as time goes on because of politics, and they want to be politically correct in certain decisions, or they don't want to be held accountable for certain decisions made in that court.
Right. And I think that that's a great spot where Fan-Pac comes in because obviously working on this right now, but maybe obviously other things in the future, getting that 50-50 presumption bill put in obviously is going to definitely help. And I know Bud Veno's had some issues with his camera back and forth. Bud, are you there, brother? Oh, and he's still having problems with that camera, that doggone phone that he's got. So
Jay, to Pete's point, the other thing is too, and this is a thing that most lay people, if you will, people who haven't been in the system don't know. Most judges, at least in the family court, don't read these motions themselves. Mm-hmm. They have their law clerks read them, and then the law clerk provides them with a synopsis, if you will, a outline of both sides cases, both sides points, and maybe. But this is a law clerk. There's no special expertise that these people have. So we have to recognize and we have to debunk some of these myths that people believe goes on in these courts. We have to shine light where they prefer darkness remains. We got to let people know how it really works, because most of us, as that parent that doesn't have access to their kids or has seen, been a subject to parental alienation, or what I like to call child alienation, because really the child is being alienated from the parent. But in any event, there's a certain shame that goes along with it. There's a dislocation with our communities where, we don't maintain relationships because we don't want people to think, oh, look, must be something wrong with him. There must be something wrong with mom if she doesn't see her kids. That stuff has got to end. We have to publicize the importance of this, again, not from mom and dad's perspective, but from the kids. We had an event in Trenton where we had access to the State House for a week, where we as a group organization went in, set up our tables, and had the chance to meet and greet both our allies and the folks who don't support this legislation. And we had some really eye-opening conversations. And one of them was with a really wonderful, well-spoken, thoughtful Assemblywoman named Assemblywoman Spate. She's from northern New Jersey. And we sat with her for 45 minutes. And she experienced this in the Hudson County Court and in the Union County Court, where she's seen moms and dads walk out of court just, broken because they can't see their kids. And she was telling the story of a gentleman whom she was sitting with, and he was crying. And she said, "What's wrong?" "Well, my ex just took my kids out of state, and the judge won't do anything to help me." And she said she felt helpless watching this poor man, father, just broken by it. And after she relayed this very personal, very intense story through her eyes, I said, Assemblywoman, I really appreciate you recognizing the importance of that from a father's perspective, but I want you to turn that 180 degrees. Now put yourselves in the eyes of those children who are in the backseat of that car being driven to another state, not having any recognition or understanding why they can't be with their dad, or in other cases with their mom. Right. That's what we'd like you to think about. It's one thing for a parent, an adult, that has some set of tools to recognize that life isn't always fair. But how about that child that doesn't have that experience yet, doesn't have that lifelong understanding of sometimes life just stinks? Right. What are they thinking? And how is that going to affect and impact the rest of their lives? So again, as much as I appreciate her perspective through the eyes of the father, I asked her to please look at it through the eyes of the child. Right. That's the behavior that we're modeling. That's the next generation of moms and dads who don't have those tools. Yeah, that's 100% correct. And I think that we need to stop and take a look in general society about how we view this situation. This isn't, look, I am really sympathetic to parents who are going through this. I really am. But when it comes down to it, as an advocate, whether or not you like this or whether or not you don't like this, I'm an advocate for children first and foremost. And if I believe by reviewing a case that I'm not putting a child in the right issue or the right situation, then I'm not going to advocate. I'm going to withdraw myself from that, because it's never a good situation. We always have to think of the child first in these processes. And it looks like Bud is back with us finally. He's had nothing but issues. But
Mike.
Yeah. Well, it's Pete's fault. When all else fails, we blame Pete. No, it's good to be back. Just a few little glitches, but it's good. Good on the job training for us all.
Yeah, great. So, but David, yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. I think this is about the children first. We've got to, in general, in society, we've got to put ourselves in the child's eyes and see what they're seeing. And then ultimately, we also have to look at the parental alienation factor that comes afterwards, because if you take a child away from a parent and then that parent ultimately does get to see the child again for whatever reason, by going back to court and doing further sanctions or whatever has to be done, then that other parent is still going to be dealing with some parental alienation factors as of, oh, dad didn't want me or mom didn't want me. And that's not the case at all. So I know that your bill is really, really heading in the right direction. And this won't be the last thing that Fan-Pac does, trust me, because Fan-Pac is in this to the bitter end. I know, David and Raphael. I've talked to him, and the guy is just amazing, 100% fire and ready for everything. I love the guy, and I think he's great. And I love Fan-Pac and what you guys are doing, and you're becoming much more well known in the community, and we want to thank you obviously for that. Is there anything that people can do out there to help support these bills for you, A1091 and S273 out there?
Yeah, certainly. The most important thing is what we ask of people is to learn about what really goes on. Again, we want people to challenge their assumptions. And we're willing to sit and talk with. We learn more from those who disagree with us than we learn from those who do agree with us. All we ask for in exchange is an honest dialogue. All we want to have people ask is, why not? Why shouldn't children have access to both mom and dad? Why isn't it a good idea to assume that both parents are fit? Why isn't it a good idea to ensure that children can grow up in a now what is a 2-household family with the ability to share those life's triumphs and tragedies and wins and losses in life freely with both mom and dad? If you can answer that question, why not? I mean, let's hashtag that, right? Why not? Just tell me why a child shouldn't be given that presumptive right. And I'm happy to debate it with you. I just haven't heard one good reason why that shouldn't be the case. But yet, across it, and we were talking about this earlier as well, Jay. That I really want to shout out to Kentucky and Matt Hale and others who fought so hard, and for the first time, for the first state in the United States has actually passed this type of legislation, and it became law at the end of June. And that should be a model for the rest of the country to follow. It is a pure rebuttal presumption standard. And while other states have sort of skirted around it, Kentucky is the first one. So Matt Hale, NPO, and all those who fought so hard for this in Kentucky, I really want to say thank you. Congratulations. And I hope you're the first of the next, and 49 more to follow.
Yes, exactly.
But to your point, so yeah, what can people do? Certainly reach out to us. We have a website, as you would imagine. It's fanpacnj.org. That's spelled FAN, Family Advocate Network, PAC, Political Action Committee, NJ for New Jersey, .org, O-R-G. Join us. Learn more about what this issue is, why it's so important to us as a community, a close community, and then why society benefits when this sort of legislation is passed. Share with your legislators why you agree with this. Share with us if you don't. Tell us your stories. Tell us why you have a dog in this fight, or why, if you don't have a dog in the fight, why you feel it's important societally. But please join us, and let's have your voices heard too, and understand that the only thing you'll hear from us is an honest dialogue in return. So we appreciate all perspectives, but again, it's fanpacnj.org. We are actively involved in becoming the voice for children in the family courts. We recognize a family court is simply failing too many of our families, and in particular our children, and it's a public health crisis, which becomes a financial crisis when these children end up on public assistance and in the judicial system, become incarcerated. There's so many things that we can help prevent by ensuring that they have access to this love. It's common sense legislation. So thank you for the opportunity, guys, to share it with you.
You'll definitely be hearing from me.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. I apologize, David. I had those technical glitches. Well, that just means we'll have to do it again, right?
Again. Don't threaten me with a good time, bud.
There we go. Pete's trying to drag me out there too, brother. So trust me, I'll be sharing a hug pretty soon. Again, thanks for coming on. humbled, honored. I know we enjoyed it, and I'm sure the listeners and viewers did too. Thank you.
Yeah. And definitely honored from my point of view. I spent a little bit of time in New Jersey. A lot of people don't know that, but I spent a little bit of time in New Jersey. Not hard time, but I spent a little time in what's called AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. I was a chaplain's assistant in 1991. My AIT was at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. So I loved every minute of that. So
I had forgotten that, Jay. Thanks for reminding me and everybody else on them. No, yes, you've been all over, Jay.
Yeah, been all over. Yeah. So thank you so much, David, for coming on and giving us a great overview of Fan-Pac and those great bills out there. Again, it's A1091, which is A1091, and S273 out there in New Jersey. Get behind those, get behind Fan-Pac and support those bills out there. We need 50-50 custody out there with the presumption rebuttal. So, David, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to come back whenever it's convenient for you guys and whenever we can make a difference together. So, thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and release him right now here. All right.
Thank you, yes, again to David and to Rafael Franco. I know the aforementioned because he was mentioned earlier. Everybody out there. Great stuff, Jay.
Yeah, and great stuff. And I love Rafael. Rafael was in D.C. Got to meet him briefly.
I heard great things.
Yeah, great guy. Very humble heart, and willing to help and work with anyone out there to get this legislation passed, because it's ultimately important to our children's future and it changes our society as a whole. Yep.
Absolutely, guys. It was awesome.
Well, they got another soldier added to their army, so
Absolutely. There we go. Hey guys, can I just tell you, Allison's doing it again? I'm in here and I can smell like garlic bread or something, or some every. I swear, I feel like those cartoons with those old Tom and Jerry cartoons, or those with the apple pie and the smell of
smell.
Them off their feet. That's what I feel like. I can just crawl to the kitchen for a breadstick. Anyway, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. A little levity there. Great first half. And we got an awesome, Jay. Awesome. Second half, Pete and Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely do. I want you guys out there, if you are listening out there, and I'm sure I've got several of you out there, and it looks like we may or may not have some technical difficulties coming through because of Facebook. And it is what it is. I'm sure that there's some issues probably, but we're just going to roll with it. I'm sure that there are several people out there that are watching. And if you are watching out there, understand that we need you to share the show as much as possible right now, because very shortly here, we will have a big time guest who is going to be putting out a documentary that is amazing. And Facebook may be playing with us because Mellisa Honeybee Zaccaria will be on in our second hour. And let me tell you, that's an issue that Facebook doesn't want to get involved in.
Well, Facebook, be careful about how far away you push us. We might end up liking it there. Be careful. We're everywhere. We're everywhere, and we'll go wherever we're needed. Again, it's about the kiddos and the good, loving, healthy parents out there. So again, as Metallica says, wherever I may roam.
Awesome. So, and I think it's going to be great in that second hour, because this documentary that's coming out is just, I can't even say the word because I would be taken off of Facebook and thrown in jail for like 100 years. But I mean, it's all.
That's all right, brother. I'd come get you.
Yeah, it'll be Facebook jail forever, because I want to say ball busters type of issue, because it really is. When we're talking about DCF, CPS issues, and we're talking about pedophilia that's going on behind the scenes, and how this documentary busts it wide open, it's going to be smack down on this one. So it's going to be great here in the second hour. Awesome stuff. And we got a little bit of time here before the half here. How has you guys' week been going? It's been crazy.
I tell you what, Pete, if I could go first, I'll rudely step on you here. Jay, And Pete, it's been great, man. Awesome energy behind the scenes. I know we've all been working so hard, and we've had a lot of stuff going on too, great stuff, and it's just been amazing. And the energy behind all of this, and seeing all the people. Joyce the voice out there. I was speaking to Joyce well after midnight. You probably saw Jay, and she's put out those videos out there. And again, it's about empowerment. And I wanted to say, since we do have time, she said, because I'll say it to everybody out there. I said, you'll keep spreading your message. And because you had mentioned last week, Jay, about people that are artistic and music and art, I said, I had thought of that. I said, keep doing your thing. She said, well, thank you for the confirmation, because it was something about an opinion she had put out. And she said, someone told me to just, stick to music writing, basically shut up. I said, Joyce, when someone, and I'll say it to everybody out there, when someone tells you to sit down and shut up, that's when you stand up and get real loud.
Yep.
Right.
That's when, again, don't shut up for anybody. We all have our gifts, and again, I hope it helped her, and I loved it because I saw her really start to share, and it's beautiful. It's from our heart. We all play a part in this. Again, I said to her, happy people don't cut others down. It doesn't happen. Truly happy people don't. They only try to build others up. It's a fact.
Right.
It's a fact.
Right. And I can't see many comments coming through, but I do see one from Tim Lekowski that said, if you were in family courts, you did hard time. Well, that's the truth, but this was far before. This was far before family courts when I was in New Jersey. So, but it was hard time. Let me tell you, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you run, look, I have the utmost respect for the people that are in the military, and the reason that I do is I've been through the military, and I can tell you, when you have to run 5 miles a day in your combat boots, that's an issue, and you've got my respect. If you've passed all of the physicals and everything that you have to go through, and the training that you have to go through, you have my respect if you've been through that. So we love our military out there. We support them 100%. Awesome stuff. And we support those who are in the movement, like Bud just said, obviously, with people who are going through these issues and these problems. Those people are trying to help empower people, and they're told, don't be a voice, or don't, sit down and be suppressed. No. Look, if you've done enough education and research and homework in order to speak out on a certain situation, speak out. We want you to speak out the most that you can. If you want to build a radio show and you are loving, open, and honest, and you really want to take part in something, we support you 100%. Do that. We're not in competition with anybody. This is the only competition that we have is the family courts. And by the way, hi out there in New Jersey. We see you.
Hi. They love us.
They love us. The Far From Normal Radio Show. So, we love them out there. Keep mentioning our name. Keep dropping it. Love it. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like I said, though, great first hour out there with David with Fan-Pac. We're going to go ahead and get into it a little bit early on our halftime here. And I think that's the best thing to do. And we'll roll into our events and our birthdays, which will give us a little bit more time in our second half to play the video segment as well for Kids Inc. So we're going to go ahead and roll into this real quick.
All right, everybody. Here we go for events and birthdays. For events, July 28th, Saturday, Dad's Kin 2, Sliders Night, 5:30 p.m., Robin Roberts Stadium. See Dad's Kin 2 for more details. August 5th, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Colorado, Capitals for Kids Tour. Sunday, 6 p.m., Denver, Colorado. Please see the AFESP fanpac.com for more details. August 18th, Saturday, ILLFE annual cookout. It's open to the public, 12 p.m., Bridgeport, Illinois. See Illinois Fathers for Equality for more details. August 18th, Saturday, Save Our Children, supporting DCTF Reform, New Hampshire. 12 p.m., New Hampshire State House. See Thomas McCarthy for more details. Sorry about that. September 12th, Americans for Equal Shared Parenting, Texas, Capital for Kids, Austin. Wednesday, 6 p.m. at Austin, Texas. See Americans for Equal Shared Parenting.com for more details. September 22nd, Parents Against Alienation Motorcycle Run. Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 400 Carlton Avenue, Central Islip, New York. September 26th, Capital for Kids, New Hampshire, Concord. Wednesday, 5 p.m., Concord, New Hampshire. Please see Americans for Equal Shared Parenting.com for more details. Now to our birthdays. Here we go. Here's the fun part. All right, today we have David Diaz, Chris Griffin, Brandy Hernandez, Holly Newberry, Jen Stockdale. Happy birthday to everybody today. Wednesday, we have Connie Reguli, Courtney Hurd, Chris George, Frank Agurio, Melanie Hama, April Harris, Jody Straw, Lisa Marie, and Sue B. Okay, for Thursday, we have Chad Gore, Charlie Nelson, Anila Penny, Michael Hutchison, Jerry Black, Tom Gibbons, and Robert Jones. Friday, we have Kathy Paratis, Susan Haskell, Bill Sanders, Neil Price, Sherry Lucas. Saturday, Sandra Winians, Caroline, Jessica Demiria, Michael Helmsley, Rafael Benitez, Trish Schaefer, Joanne Erb, Christine Harmon, Tanya Carter, Peter Nerdin, Anika Coleman, Nancy Barton, Tony Hilton, Deb Voorhees, Eric Matson, Kendall Jesse, and Danielle Barrier. And for Sunday, we have Elisa Lapp, Sherry Britt, Melissa Colleen, Kelly Cummings, Jay Ann, Antonio Bavaro. And last, for Monday, we have John Leckrone, Josh Jarris, Claude Kulasala. Got it. Kulasada. All right, got it. All right. I had to look at that twice. But Teresa Clay, Chris Cyrus, Eddie Blake, Scott Edelman, Morgan Tanner, Dr. Sue Kornbuth, and David Smith. Happy birthday from the FFN show. Many more to come. Stay blessed and enjoy that day.
Absolutely, 100%. And as we always say every single week, the Far From Normal radio show is copywritten, recording and transcription of the show without express written consent of the Far From Normal radio show staff, hosts, and board of directors is strictly prohibited. So great first half. Awesome rocking through here. We love everybody out there. Definitely share this because it's going to be big and huge coming up very, very shortly here.
Huge, yo, and yo, my brother from another mother, J. Money Mouse with Pete, the real deal, McNeil, riding shotgun, July 24th, 2018. Happiest birthday to everybody out there. I heard some names that we've had on. Deb Voorhees for 13th Part 5, 1985. Give a shout out to her out there. Deb Voorhees, Sheer Horror Group. Go check it out. And I also I heard about Jesse West's his slider event, and I want to say to our brother Jesse out there, we love you, pal. And we know this is a difficult time for you and your family, but we're family too, my brother. We're family. And you call 24/7. There's a kinship You're a brother. We don't let brothers down, man.
That's
Ever.
right.
Much love to you and your family, and we're all going to get through this, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse West Sr. Obviously, his dad's having some issues, and we need you to keep his father in your thoughts and prayers out there. We definitely are with him in spirit, and if he ever needs us, obviously we're just a phone call away. And I'm about 45 minutes away from him. So great guy. Can't say enough about Jesse West Sr.
Absolutely. And if I didn't say it before, Pete and Jay, happiest birthdays to everybody out there. It's your special day, the day you came into the world and blessed it with your presence. Here we go, second half.
and we will be joined here very, very, very shortly here by a documentary filmmaker, Mellisa Honeybee Zaccaria out there, and she's done some wonderful footage out there and has really done a lot of investigative research and homework. So I'm very, very excited here very, very shortly for her to come on. And as I said that I was attacked by a spider.
Yeah. Well, can I say real quick, it's been a weird day too, because I came in, this is one of those things like a movie. I came in, my office, as you guys know, I have like one of those mini fridges here too. And there's a mystery stink in here. And it's one of those mystery ones. Allie, I mean, she cleaned the whole, I'm like, there's got to be a dead, everything out of here. There's got to be, it's one of those, and it's nowhere. There's just a mystery spunk. It's like that Seinfeld episode, the smelly car, the smelly office. I've looked everywhere. I'm like, I don't know if there's a dead. And Allie, she tried to convince me earlier the smell was going away. I said, baby, I love you, but I said, I know it's wishful thing, but I think it is actually, or it could just be that I've been sitting in the stink for an hour, and so I'm just used to it.
Used to it, yeah.
yeah. But there's that mystery stink. I'm like, there's gotta be like I thought maybe a mouse, something. But again, she completely cleaned the whole fridge. It's ridiculous. They didn't clean it anymore. We're gonna clean the. Finish right off the inside of it.
Yeah, that's awfully strange here.
Pete's fault.
Yeah, it's Pete's fault.
Pete's fault.
Yeah, you know. Hey, but great stuff coming up here. Hopefully we can get her on in a little bit.
Well, also,
she's having problems logging on, so.
Well, it's probably Pete's fault, but I'll give a quick shout out to my BBC, everybody out there right outside of Boston, Beantown, Nashville. My brothers Aaron and Ian Roberts, Mrs. Roberts, Mr. Roberts, a lot of love and respect. Everybody out there, my brother John Mondu, all the Mondus, everybody out there from back in the day, back in the hood, brothers and sisters, Tammy Clegg, everybody. Tammy Clegg wasn't from the village. She was up the road, but she hung out a lot, so she's a family member. Right. So, yeah, everybody out there. It's great stuff, and I see everybody within the movement. Jim Cropper, the bomb dropper, I've seen some stuff from his page, and he's been his group, and people doing empowering things. I don't get to, unfortunately, Jay, as you know yourself too, is we don't get to see, and I miss a lot of things, even notifications that things come through in it. So never take it personally because I don't ignore anything in terms of somebody's asking me something, or unless it's but I don't get involved in any of that other stuff. But other than that, I'm not ignoring. So try again, and again, everybody out there, keep rocking, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I think that, a lot of people can misconstrue that, maybe the fact that, we don't get back to you, it's not anything completely personal. It's just that we're so completely busy.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. No, Jay's right. It gets overwhelming, and sometimes it does, in the sense of not being able to get back, wanting to get back to everybody and staying up till 3 trying to, and so your head's going down, and you say, okay, I gotta lay down.
Right. And definitely I say this in all actuality. I believe it was 3:30 a.m. This morning by the time I actually hit the bed, and I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised you slept that late.
Yeah.
Bastard. Yeah, I went, I think it was like 2 a.m. or right around there 3 when I put that far. I finally,
right. I'm
like, I should probably lay down, or I'm gonna Ralph.
Yeah.
So it's been good, and there's been a few different things out there in terms of the movement. As you guys, September 26th, 2018, as Pete mentioned, Concord, Mark Ludwig and Ed Bryan's New Hampshire equal share parenting, and equal share parenting overall. Americans for equal share parenting, September 26th in Concord, New Hampshire. We're looking forward to that event. Everybody, please get down there. It's again, Ed Brines is doing a lot of work for that. We've got some awesome stuff coming up. I'm excited about it, boys. I'm trying to see if I can maybe
definitely.
or yours too. Get your butts here. I got plenty of room.
Well, yeah. And that's the other reason that we're kind of building this as we speak behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't know this behind the scenes. Is that we're building things behind the scenes so that the Far From Normal radio show can become either a 501c3 or C4, and there's several different reasons for that behind the scenes that have to do with sending different people different places so that we can get interviews with you out there at all of these events, and it's about you and getting your story and your voice out there and being heard, and that's why we're out there doing those things. So I know it looks like we just got on Mellisa Honeybee Zaccaria out there. It looks like I'm going to try and bring her in here right now.
There she is.
There she is. Mellisa, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, guys. Oh, it's a good big group. I'm so excited. How are you?
Now, if you like Honeybee, should I call you that? Or Mellisa?
Yeah, Honeybee's great. Call me
Honeybee.
That's my name.
Honeybee. Yo, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time out. I can feel your energy from here. So this is
thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I just got back from a music festival and I took a shower and I feel so clean and I'm happy.
Oh, you feel great.
Fresh.
I said to my wife, so you literally wash the slime off and you feel refreshed. You really do. I took one too before the show. If I didn't, I'd be pouring sweat. So I'm glad you feel good and refreshed. We're honored to have you on. And get ready to have some fun.
Oh, yeah, great.
Definitely.
As much as we can for the subject. We're going to go into that too, but definitely.
And Mellisa, this is a very serious subject, obviously, so we're going to try and have as much fun as we possibly can with it.
Right.
But at the same time, we're going to do it very respectful because there's a lot of people, obviously, who've been through these things or who are no longer with us because of the effects of these things. When we're talking about CPS, DCF, DCYF, you name it, we call it the alphabet groups anymore because they change their name per state. They always have this oppressive standard in which they're taking away children without a justified means, putting them in a foster care system, all for pay, putting a child basically is walking around with a dollar sign above their head. And in these particular instances, you have brought light with investigative research with a documentary called Kids Inc. Kids Inc. And it's about to drop out. Let me tell you, it's coming out very, very soon. So stay tuned for it. And this is absolutely paramount that we get this out there because it also talks about the pedophilia that's involved in some of these things and some of the amazing stuff that you've done behind the scenes. So thank you so much for coming on. It is absolutely our honor and pleasure to have you on.
You are amazing. I don't blow much smoke in terms of that, I'll tell you that. And you are a strong woman, and it's amazing to have you on again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I was actually very
good that you're doing.
Folks are doing too.
Thank you.
I was telling Jay a little earlier that I was watching, and there was a presentation that your team was invited to. I don't think you were there, but they really, you guys are talking about the things that I look into every single day, and there's definitely a need for community and for people to network together and to have this unified voice to really call out this corruption because it's really countrywide. And it was addressed by Nancy Schaefer. She's a big inspiration for us.
Oh yeah.
Former Georgia senator. She was murdered, a double suicide, they call it. We think it was murder because of her work with exposing CPS and, the business of selling children through that network. So.
Right. So
very important stuff.
This documentary goes into a lot of different things. And so I think we've got a 6-minute clip here. I want to play that very, very shortly here so that our viewership out there can really see what this documentary entails. And it's so blasting. And we can come back here and talk about that real quick here. I'm going to share real quick. Okay. But I didn't have technical difficulties for some reason. Let me stop that share for some reason and see what's going on with my system. Maybe could just be the clip itself, but we'll come back to it.
Probably Pete, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go on mute. Maybe it's us on mute. If we go on mute, it won't echo.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try and close it and then we'll get back into it here, and that may help. The system sometimes wants to play games with us like that.
Yeah, that's okay. But before then, you go ahead into that. If I could ask, Miss Honeybee or just Honeybee, I don't know. Yeah, it's great. What if I could ask you, what started you off for the people that don't know on your path? Like, what got you your passion, flowing with this? If I can ask.
Well, I've always been, two things. I've always worked with children. I started off, 15, 16, working in the rec department. I was a preschool aide. I went on to be a preschool toddler teacher. I was a director for the local recreation department. I ran programs for children. I was really into development. I ended up doing 1 year at Franklin Pierce University, starting into educational psychology to learn how to reach children better, because I felt the school system was super indoctrination program that
you and I are going to get along just fine.
And they weren't reaching the kids that needed to be reached, because it's a very regimented kind of brainwashing systematic system that they want, order followers. So I was trying to develop ways for even parents to reach their children a little bit better. So that always kind of was on the side, as well as just really being into conspiracy facts, things that were underreported, whether it was spiritual or government related, crimes against humanity, things that were basically covered up, kind of mysterious stuff. I was always into the etheric stuff, UFOs and demonology.
Yeah, I would say, Honeybee, have you seen I Know What I Saw? Have you seen I Know What I Saw? The movie, the documentary, I Know What I Saw. If you haven't seen it, go everybody out there.
I have not. I haven't seen it.
I Know What I Saw, and you can actually find the first one. It wasn't long ago on YouTube. You can go and find the whole first. I believe it's like an hour and a half. The whole thing's on there. I just stumbled across it, and these are military people that came forward and finally said yes, it's real, and go into it and watch it, because what I do, and Jay knows too, is I verify all these things. I study everybody that's in every single documentary. I mean, because I don't just go ahead and go, I just believe whatever I see, because as you said, this is a very regimented world, and we're all programmed. I don't believe anything. So this is really legit. So it's going to behoove you to go check it out. I Know What I Saw.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. A lot of the reason we wanted to do this documentary is because in the YouTube community, there's a lot of disinfo. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of, they call it clickbait, where it's just stuff to get people to click on it, and it may or may not be true. So as me and Heather, who is my production manager, and Anthony Cadorniga, he is the director and the filmographer of the documentary, we all started separately really vetting information, getting the documents out there, getting the paperwork out there for people to see, and also teaching people how to do their own research, which I think after the presidential election, there was this wave, with Pizzagate and the Seth Rich and Pedogate as a whole. People started really getting motivated to do their own research. And that's the basis of kind of where I started my YouTube channel. I wanted to share what I was finding. I'd always been an observer. I watched YouTube videos for the past 8 years. I was like addicted to that stuff too. But I finally realized I have something to offer. And I really wanted to share it with the people out there, to spread the word. And to get people involved.
Absolutely. And if I could say, Jay, real quick, that YouTube, it's on Amazon. It's a legit documentary. It just also has somebody, until they figure it out and take it down. But it's on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon Prime, and it's all over the place. It's worth
all right. What I Saw?
I Know What I Saw.
I Know What I Saw. Okay.
Like, Honeybee, I Know What I Saw. I Know What I Saw. You can't change my mind.
We're going to try and broadcast this through my YouTube channel and figure out, or the Far From Normal YouTube channel, and see if we can't get this to come on that way. For some odd reason, the actual clip was not going through, but we'll try it this way here.
My report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, and in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability in Child Protective Services. I have come to several conclusions. 2 or 3 are: 1, that poor parents, not always, but oftentimes, are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney and fight the system. That caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the business grows because state and local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-growing budgets. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid. State employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security. And that the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times more children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to official safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation, than in the general population. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. The Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clinton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services would need more children. They must have merchandise that sells, and they must have plenty so the buyer can choose.
A lot of people hear about these things and they think, you know, since the state stepped in and did this, there must be something there. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned from this, is that that is not the case.
And then I learned that the state only gets money if they put the kids into care. Keeping them at home costs money.
Some counties offer $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers.
What was hidden before is coming out. Today, you can find just about anything you want on the internet and the dark web, and the portions of the internet people have no idea exist. Anything you want is out there. If you want something, if you've got the money, you can buy it, or if you've got the juice, you can buy it. What we're fighting for are, I'll show you reality if I may, and this is reality. This is reality. This is a little boy. That's reality. That's a boy in a cage. And sadly, is a victim.
The guys that were in that area and parked outside my farm and stuff, I mean, sorry, but if I went to Central Casting and I wanted to, you know, if I was going to cast like pedophiles, that's what they look like. My worst fears, my worst fears are that. My worst fears is that she was selling the children, and I noticed when all the stuff, when I started uncovering like the bruises and all the stuff's unraveling.
intake worker came to the door and she said, well, if you don't open the door, there will be harm to you.
CPS caseworkers, politicians, DAs, government agents, judges, foster parents, prosecutors, legislators, doctors, and even the police. They are all involved. How can you fight against such a strategically interconnected, vastly expansive, and collusive system of child abusers? You expose them one by one in your city, your state, your country.
Awesome so far in that. And if you're out there and you're on YouTube, you can definitely take a look. I know my volume wasn't great in transferring this through, but it is absolutely amazing cinematography. And I think it's just absolutely wonderfully put together in that clip, because there are, as you said, $4,000 to $6,000. This was back in 1998. We're talking about probably $10 million on a lot of these issues that are going on, that the states are getting hundreds and thousands of dollars for each child that's adopted out. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely unreal. And
infuriating.
Yeah, it's infuriating, like you said. And Mellisa, you're bringing this out so completely compelling in an exposing way that, do you fear backlash from this?
Well, I'm not fearful of the backlash I'm already getting. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of motivates me a little bit more.
Right.
You know, we all deal with censorship and things like that, but I have people that troll me and, you know, make videos and, you know, trash me all the time and prank calls, whatever. I mean, it's,
Right.
If I feel like I'm over the target when that stuff starts happening, so I just kind of keep going in that direction.
I say, go ahead and prank call me. I'm a sucker for good conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I don't get no bag. I rarely say, woman, too, hey, Honeybee, you got some cojones, girl. I'm proud to know you. I love it. You don't back down from anybody.
Thank you. You can't.
Wrong is wrong, and you keep again.
Well, that's what they want you to do. They always, somebody out there always wants to shut you down and stuff like that. And people always have their views. So let them view and let them talk all they want. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Pedophiles, man. Pedophiles to me, it's like a old yeller. Sorry,
Right.
boy.
Well, I mean,
all
dealing with actual pedophiles that are trying to defend their want to have sexual relations with children. That's the draw. Like, that's where I draw the line. I have no filter when it comes to that, and my nasty side definitely comes out when.
Oh yeah, well, straight up. I don't pull punches. Touch my kids, I'll bleed you out.
Yeah.
Touch my kid, I'll bleed you out.
Most people feel that way. I mean, most of the comments I get because I will retweet an argument I'm having with a pedophile and everybody just jumps on board. That's the community I'm talking about.
Right.
So everybody's got, you know, some people are really graphic about what they would do to them, but it's a resounding no. It's a resounding no. We don't want this. This is not going to be normal. We're not going to lower the age of consent to 5, 6 year old kids.
Yes. And I think that on this specifically, since we're already on it, I definitely want and need your opinion on this, because I think that the pedophile community, and there is a community out there of pedophiles, believe it or not. They really are trying to institutionalize a format of equal protections under the law, calling themselves pedosexuals. So I want your opinion on that, because I think it's absolutely insane.
Pedosexuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
NAMBLA, okay, it's been around for quite a long time. Even back then, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, it's on YouTube, it's called Chicken Hawk. It's pretty much chronicling like live. I don't think the people in NAMBLA knew that they were being taped for an op-ed, but they had been trying to go into the LGBT community since the very beginning, and even the homosexuals and the lesbians were like, no, we do not want them in our group. They do not represent the LGBT. They are not equal. They are criminals. Yes. And they're hurting children. If you're a consenting adult, I mean, I'm a Christian, so I have my opinions, but I let God judge whoever, you know what I mean? And I know a lot of gay and lesbian people that are really close friends of mine that are, religious or whatever they believe. I mean, we all have a right to be a consenting adult, and I don't go there. But when there's a child involved in a situation, that to me is extremely criminal. You are hurting the child mentally, physically, emotionally. They're not even developed yet to be able to be involved in this kind of relationship, and they're still mentally developing, whereas they're easily coaxed, they're easily redirected, they're easily manipulated. I mean, I was a preschool teacher. I used redirection all the time with the children. They are pretty easy to dupe, if you can redirect them to something that they find exciting and fun, and they might not know, that we're going to do the flu shot, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, right. Kids don't have the capacity to have that kind of relationship with an adult. Anybody knows that. And if you think that they do, you have a mental disorder. Right. And I really think they don't do enough experiments or medical studies on it for that reason. It's almost like they want that to become the norm. There isn't a lot of the medical field that's against it. They're actually trying to say it's a sexual orientation now. No. The psychiatrists and psychologists are pushing it. They're pushing it.
Well, I tell you, it's disgusting, because you're taking the purest of the pure. Children that are pure, and you're a piece of shit. There's no other way around it. Come make me your victim. Come on. Yeah. I love it. But you're taking, again, the purest of the pure. You're the scum of the earth. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're a piece of garbage.
Yep. Right. And I know that several people definitely feel strongly on that. I'm sure I do. Bud does. Pete does. We don't condone any of that activity or anybody who's involved with any of that activity, because honestly, and we see it a lot, and people don't think that we see it. We've seen people, we've encountered people even within this own movement who have had their children taken away because they are. And it's very convenient. It would be very convenient for us to out those people, but we're not about that. We're about trying to just let those people go away. But there are some certain instances where we do have to expose, because we've got to protect those that are children that are going through this. So we have our ways of doing that. It's not doing it completely public. It's doing it privately. And I think that that's the way to condone it first off. And then if you have to, absolutely have to, beyond a shadow of a doubt, then you do have to expose it. If that person just will not go away. And there are repercussions for any of those actions when you do expose those things, and especially in a community like this, because everybody tends to normalize it as drama or whatever it may be. No, this is not drama. This is, we're saving children's lives, and we advocate for children first, first and foremost, and then we advocate for parents to have equal rights along those boards, because ultimately this is about the children, why we're in this. So Mellisa, I'm so thankful that you're bringing these issues to the equation, and we're talking about an industry that puts a price tag on these children's heads. So when we're talking about they take a child away from good, loving, fit parents, and they stick them in a foster care system. And now in your documentary, you're seeing these children on the black market. Is that correct?
There are some instances where we've seen some of their children on Craigslist being sold for sex. And it's really important to understand that there are really, bad parents out there. CPS in and of itself, the Child Protective Services, was set up I would think on some level, to protect children from really bad people that have children and get them involved in things they're not supposed to. So we're not saying that the service itself is a bad idea. It's the way it's been set up with a monetary incentive where everybody gets a piece of the pie and everybody's happy except the children. And in the cases where the parents are not hurting their children, there's fabricated evidence, there's medical kidnap, where the doctor will, decide to do something and then it goes wrong. And then the doctor will like blame the parent. That's happened a lot. Things like that, where we go in and we go to court with them and we see a complete change in the dynamic. When we're not in court with them, everyone gets nervous when we're there because we're taking notes, we're advocating for the parents, and we stand behind them because we know the truth and we have a big platform that we can talk about it on. And they don't want that. They do pick parents. And if you notice in Nancy Schaefer's speech, the business of Child Protective Services, she talks about the parents that are targeted, which are low-income families that have SSI or some sort of disability, families that, have had abuse in the past, they're victims themselves. These families are targeted because they don't have the money to have a good lawyer. They are looked down, unfortunately, by their communities if they're on, food stamps or anything like that. Just because they're getting services from the United States government doesn't mean that their children are an automatic, something they can take from the parent no matter what. Kids have rights too, and parents have rights to their children. And that's really what we're trying to tell people is that CPS really isn't the government. When they come knocking at your door, it's usually like a contracted local company that comes in and they really want you to sign that case plan. They want you to sign a document, a contract. Once you sign that contract, you have basically signed over your child to be a ward of the state. So what we're trying to prepare parents for is if CPS does, people even that have YouTube channels. I interviewed Romola D. She's a targeted individual. CPS was knocking on her door because of the research she does. She's a journalist. She was a teacher at Washington State University. George Washington University. Very schooled woman, she wrote books. She's an amazing woman, but CPS came because somebody didn't like the research she was doing, thought she was a conspiracy theorist, and she didn't open the door. She refused. She knew her rights. And she wrote a letter to her local, her local leader. She wrote a letter back to CBS saying, I'm not opening the door. You need to show me evidence. Unless you have a court order signed by a judge with evidence that I've done anything to my child, you're not coming in. And that's the kind of confidence we want to give parents, that they do have a chance to prepare themselves, if this does happen, because I think it's happening more and more. And we need to combat that with spreading the word, getting people involved, and spreading knowledge about the whole situation.
Well, now they got full CPS workers coming around to steal your kids just in general. They don't even work for CPS. They're trying to fool you with documents, come knock on your door. They know the situation or somehow they found out something somewhere, and they're trying to take people's kids like that.
Right.
Yeah, and what we say in this matter and how we advocate is exactly the same way as you just said. Do not sign anything. Nothing. You signing gives them consent, which means it's what they say, like when you walk into a family court or CPS court, your acquiescence or your silence gives them consent. They know this is my rights, this is my child. Stanley versus Illinois says specifically that these are your fundamental rights to have care, custody, and control of your child. So let them say what they want to say, or let them say, oh, the judge is going to say, if you don't sign this paperwork and do these things, then we're going to go ahead and hold you in contempt. Okay, hold me in contempt. Throw me in jail, judge. Here's the cuffs. Go ahead and put them on me. Because quite frankly, that makes him part of the issue and part of the problem. We see that a lot. and we're moving towards a direction that's going to take care of these things, and it already actually has. I believe that there already has been an act for the Family First Act that is passed that's going to start ending Title 4E and Title 4A. And that Title 4A is such important because that's the welfare system, a lot of the welfare system. So when we're talking Title 4E, we're talking about CPS and the money that they have raised or whatever through the taking of the children by the state. So they're getting interest on top of interest on top of interest, 5 times that amount to take care or take these children. But the problem is these children aren't being taken care of, even in foster care. A lot of the times we're seeing what Melissa's bringing to light obviously is showing that these kids are being put in cages. These kids are being put in cars, and they park at a hotel, and they park at this hotel all day long, and they do nothing. They're not even fed properly. Melissa, thank you for bringing a lot of these things to light in specific. The things that you're doing brings exposure to what's going on. And I know that a lot of course have mentioned us. I'm sure they're going to be mentioning you very, very soon. Obviously, what are some of the things that you've seen that really can generally help those who are maybe under attack from the CPS, DCF, DCY, alphabet group, whatever you want to call themselves this week? What are some of the things that you see that you can help these parents by combating these issues so they don't have those issues? Obviously, not opening the door. Obviously, not giving them consent. Anything else that you might think of?
Yeah, actually, this is really important. I think that people are very disconnected from their communities. I've been really trying to push people to get to know their neighbors and get to know their community, who's in the community, who's not doing well in the community, who's doing really well in your community, who's calling the shots, who's your local leaders, who are your local business people that can, get land, even though it's not zoned for that. Know these players, because most of those guys all work together, women too, to kind of make things possible for the few and take advantage of the masses. So get to know what's going on in your community and really go to court with some of these people. Sit in the pews and sit in the courtroom and just be there. Start listening to the jargon, start understanding what's going on, especially in juvenile court. It's really good advice, I think, for anybody to actually get involved in that system, because if we don't participate in it, you never know. These people are left, without their children, and nobody's there to support them, even emotionally. Having an advocacy group or having an advisory board, go to your town meeting, demand that there be some sort of support group for parents that have had their kids taken away. So those people can connect together and they can share stories and build, strength, as a group. That I think that's the most important thing. I think that's what people are lacking with technology being so vast and everybody's talking on Twitter and Facebook. You kind of are disconnected from the people that live next door. And I think that's something we have to revisit, is really connecting with the people in our community, getting involved politically in our community, and making changes there, because that will echo throughout the country. We all start doing
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay, I know, and you guys too, I'll give a shout out to Chief Monahan, the chief of police here in my town. I had a nice conversation with him a few weeks ago, and a real good one. He seems like a good guy. He's been in office about 4 months now, so wish you the best, Chief. And looking forward to coming over for a burger. Say hi to Corey, patrolman out here. I work for 3 different departments myself here in New Hampshire, and made a lot of connections. And
I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, you are? I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm right on Lake Winnipesaukee. I'll come up and take a swim.
All right.
Well, I'm fire right by the lake. Well, yeah, we'll definitely talk after. You have a good mind, too. I said to my wife, I like this girl. You're going to like her when you watch the show. So definitely, I didn't realize you were in New Hampshire. Good stuff. See what happened? Good stuff. But yeah, I think it's really important, as you said. And the reason, too, is just to get to know. It's not as easy for some people as it is, I know, for someone like me that doesn't have a problem picking up the phone and just like, oh, just cruising into a department going, hey, bring the chief out, whatever. Like, but you can pick up the phone. They're accessible. And again, you said too about empowerment and confidence. It's like that with anything in life. Go in with your head up and look people in the eye, and don't let them shake you down or talk down to you or make you feel less than. Because that's when it starts. When your self-confidence starts to deteriorate, that's when it's all lost. When you truly believe in yourself, you're undefeatable. And when you don't, you can be defeated by anybody.
Amen.
Yeah, and Mellisa, I want to say I think that some of the things that you reveal in here are absolutely crucial, and you're talking about how the system is set up necessarily and rigged in a particular way that creates the profit system that these children are being taken for. Then we've got an issue where we've got some of the police, not all the police, but some of the police, obviously, that won't do anything because they're getting directives from above. And then you've got the city councilmen, you've got the legislators, you've got all of these different people who are maybe not getting involved in for a reason that it's political. Honestly, it's political. And I love, in particular, a guy out there that's running for New Hampshire that we just had on. Obviously, Ed Bryan's just a great guy. And I'm sure he's going to be doing something, and I'm sure he's going to be watching on this because obviously we've got a lot of issues in this country, and they mainly stem around taking a child away from good, loving, fit parents. And the repercussions of that are, we've got children who become criminals. We've got children who are more likely to become pregnant as teens. We've got children who are more likely to commit violent crimes. We've got children that are more likely to commit suicide because of what's going on. Suicide is a big factor, and I want to touch on that one. So desperately much in this particular part of what we're talking about. The children that you've seen go through this and what they've experienced, how does this affect them psychologically down the road?
Well, first, there is a great trauma and fear that is created, especially for authorities, which is why naturally they're more apt to be criminals, abusers themselves. They don't tend to feel that they can trust police. They don't trust community leaders or the government. And that starts at a very young age if they're taken away and it's a traumatic situation. The problem we have with children being put into homes where there are actually abusers in the foster homes. We have seen multiple cases where the children were just left to do whatever they wanted, and other cases where the children were sexually abused, other cases where the children are ridiculously monitored, not able to eat or be fed, and they're locked in their room all day, just like really different cases of abuse. But you have to understand, predators, they want access to children. So if you notice, the MSM loves to cover the teachers, all the teachers that get caught for having relationships with the students. Talk to any pedophile and they'll tell you the main goal is access to children. So they're going to be teachers, they're going to be in the clergy, they're going to be Boy Scout, Girl Scout leaders. I mean, I have verbatim this coming from one of these pedophiles giving me a list of occupations that they want to do to have access to children. And one huge one, which is really easy to be, is a foster parent. You don't have to pay to have children. They pay you a good amount of money, especially if the child has special needs or special services, which automatically happens when they come under CPS. They're drugged. A lot of them are traumatized. They need therapy. So then they're worth a few $100s more for the foster parent. And then there's a really interesting thing we've learned with I don't know if this is just in Ohio, but this is what we found in Ohio, is that the foster parent will get the child And if they have that child, even though there's no, especially with this family we dealt with, there's no fault found officially, but they kept getting them on technicalities with, you didn't go to the therapy appointment, we told you, but then it's like a phone tag game to get the therapy appointment. They switch it around to different places. It's a cat and mouse game to even go through the case plan, even though there was no fault found with the family.
Right.
So if the foster parent can get that child to stay with them for 6 months, those children, even if they get sent home, that foster parent still gets paid for the rest of the year.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And that is a huge incentive.
It is
for foster parents. So who are they? I'm just thinking in my mind, everybody's going to get a piece of this pie. I mean, are they the woman that had the kids was really good friends with the director of the particular agency that was, working for CPS, really close friends, worked together at other places. Is she splitting these checks with this woman who is putting this family through hell for 6 months? I mean, the kids went back 6 months after, but that woman is still getting checks to this day.
Yep, that's exactly right.
5 kids, 5 children.
5 kids. And then not only that, because they are so-called qualified dependents for over 6 months, they also get an income tax return on those 5 children. That's gross, because what you're talking about is $1,500 per child per household on each of these kids. So you do the math. If you're walking away, you're walking away with $4,500 on children that you don't even have in your care, custody, and control any longer.
Right.
That's a big check. That's nice.
Yeah, we really addressed that in the documentary, because I think that's a really underreported and underknown fact. Really looking into the whole process of CPS, we were very lucky to get that information, because I hadn't known about that before we went to see the family in Ohio, and we were like, what?
Yes. And they do that in several states. It's not just Ohio. It is in Illinois. And I live in Illinois. I can tell you that for a fact. They play the games. They play the mental games with a lot of these people. I've talked to a lot of them behind the scenes. I've talked to some in Kansas. I've talked to some in Arkansas. I've talked in Utah and Louisiana. I've talked to several different states and several different specifically, and people always tell me this, you're for men, you're for fathers' rights. And no, I'm actually, if you look at it and statistically, I added it up the other day, I actually have helped 86% of the people that I've helped are actually females. So think about that and understand the fact that I've helped more people with CPS issues than I actually have in family court, and my case is in family court. So a lot of these issues are stemming directly from the money that's involved. Directing also is the pedophilia that's involved, and I think you bring great light to that. And the thing that I really want to say out there to those people who are in the legislature right now, we know where your money's going. We can tell you where your money's going because there's a website out there called followthemoney.org. I can tell you every person out there who's contributing to your campaign finance.
Yes, he can. Yes, he loves that sort of thing. So don't tempt him.
Don't tempt me.
And if I can say too, while we have you on still, Mellisa, and it's been such a pleasure. Again, Jay, the time flies when you're having fun. In terms of the guests, it's been great. But I will say too to the people out there with their kids, you hear a lot, and I hate, guys, sometimes I hate to quote Dr. Phil, but he says all the time, and it's true. If you watch him, unfortunately, you don't prepare your kids for the world that you wish was out there. You prepare them for the one that is without making them paranoid. My son, it was great today. Again, I mentioned my friend Shane that stopped over, and when he left, my youngest, who's 7, my Mason man, came over and shook his hand, and I said, "You see what he's doing there? Ever since he could recall, I make him look people in the eyes." And he looks right up at him. Again, it's self-confidence, question everything. Even I'll do things on purpose that I know are wrong just to see if he'll question me. And I'll say this to the people out there: I can sell ice to an Eskimo. My point to this is, guys, there are people out there that have that same personality that don't have my heart. I can get anyone in my car for the most part if I wanted to. So what I'm saying is, without making your kids paranoid, you have to prepare them without making them paranoid. Make them question things. Make them wonder. Don't make them puppets, as you said earlier, Mellisa, in terms of robots. Don't make them confident enough to go and use their own common sense when things feel wrong. It's because they are. So again, it's about empowering your children. That's
100%. And Mellisa, thank you again so much for bringing this to light. And definitely, I know that our people out there who are working very diligently behind the scenes to help us. I have already put your stuff out there for those people to see out there on YouTube to get involved. How also can they contact you if they want to get involved and help you with getting this movie, this documentary out there to the mainstream public?
Sure. I'm just going to clear up. My name is actually pronounced Mellisa.
Mellisa, sorry.
Yeah, that's
sorry
okay.
about that.
That's okay. My whole life, believe me, it's not a big deal. That's why I go by Honeybee. It's a little easier. It rolls off the tongue a little better. But you can definitely find me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot. I can do it on the fly, and I'm really responsive on there. And I get a really good community feeling on there because everyone wants to do research. Everyone's always sharing. So you can find me on Twitter at @thehoneybee_. And definitely join Twitter if you haven't. It's a really great place to do this kind of networking specifically for this stuff. I would have never joined Twitter. I just joined last year. I hate Twitter, but I find it really effective, especially because you can talk to these officials. You can talk to the celebrity pedophiles that are getting arrested. You can literally tag people and get them involved in the conversation and question them. It's face to face. That's what I like about it. But you can also do some updates. If you want to check out our documentary, we have a fundraiser page. We use it also as an update page. It's at plumfund.com/crowdfunding /Kids Inc. documentary. And you can go check out some of the cool people we've interviewed. We've had Craig Sawyer on there, Marissa Hamilton, Victorious Libertas. We've been very blessed. Even Stephen Shellen, he is actually a former Hollywood actor. He's still an actor now, but we got him to come down from Canada to interview about his situation. We're just really blessed. God has been working with us, through us, for us, and we for him, to get this done and to get this out there, to have these people have their voices heard and to wake people up,
Right.
Absolutely. And Jay, before we let her go, there's certain people who have that overwhelming energy. And I'll tell you what, you have an open invitation to come over and watch I Know What I Saw.
Okay.
At any time you want. Again, I know we have to let you go now. And again, we're so thank you. Thanks for bringing this awareness. And again, girl, you got some cojones. Keep it going. Don't stop.
Thank you.
Don't stop. Thank you.
I don't plan on it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you again so much. We greatly appreciate you, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you behind the scenes as well, because we're taking these things to a new level. I know that our Twitter's out there, FFN Radio Show out there. So we love and support you and what you're doing, and we'll definitely work with you in the future and anything that you've got coming forward.
Yeah, likewise, you guys. I'm not sure how long you guys have been around, but let's get you guys some more people involved.
Awesome.
And sounds good. Yeah, it's been almost 2 years now, and we announced too. We have John Schneider coming on, who is.
I know, I heard.
And we're so excited. We've had some people on. You use a great word, and it seems to be the word of the night is blessed. We've been so blessed, and what it's done, Mellisa. No,
Mellisa.
Oh, I got it right the second.
I wrote it down.
Honeybee. What's his agency? That's right. That's why I runs the show up there. But it's just to bring this awareness and to do what you're doing and to get it out there. It's just awesome. And to see it empowering people. And again, I was mentioning John and that word blessed. Again, we've had 1 million people on too. And thank you. And anything we can do too. It's all about that. It's all about working together to make this happen. So again, thanks for coming on. And Pete's right back on. He got back on. I'm sure he wanted to say.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to take a call from my son. I was waiting for it.
We always encourage that.
Yeah, but thank you. Thanks for being on. I did try to. I messaged you, Miss Honeybee, because so when you get a chance, friend requests and all that other good stuff. But it was a pleasure having you on, and keep doing what you're doing. Don't let nobody stop you. That's it. You got to keep fighting. We all are.
You don't mess with Miss Honeybee because I'll be coming for you. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, you
Thank
guys are
you so
great.
much.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Much love to you. Stay safe.
Yes.
God bless.
All right. Love you.
Take care, guys.
All right. So great opportunity for us to interview someone who's bringing the subject to light, as always. Yeah, and we're so thankful and grateful for the opportunities to have some of these great guests on. Obviously, David earlier talking about Fan-Pac, and obviously Mellisa. I gotta get that right, Mellisa.
First time. Good job, Money.
Yeah, and awesome stuff with that documentary out there, Kids Inc. If you see it, it is coming out very shortly. I believe the official release date was supposed to be at the end of August. I think it's going to be probably towards the 1st of September. So get out there, check it out, and if you can get a hold of it, get a hold of it. It's going to be a great tool to kind of use if you're going through CPS, DCF, DCYF, whatever you want to call it. It's something different everywhere. It's crazy. We can't even figure out what their name is. There's no pronunciation for it. So yeah, it just is what it is, brother. Right. But awesome stuff. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And Pete, and for those that don't know, Pete during the show sometimes he takes calls from his boy, and we encourage that. We love it. Again, would be kind of hypocritical. We say when we J up, our whole thing is about children. Like, why are you talking to your son? No, get off and talk to him. I don't care who we're talking to.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we always strive to make our children be the priority on the Far From Normal radio show. If those selected with our staff, they've got something coming up with their children, that takes first precedence and first priority. So, and we know that specifically. So we state that in fact, and we back it up in what we say. On the air and off the air. So, you know, honestly, there's a lot of people that are going through this movement who are maybe going through these struggles that you go through each day, and maybe you're getting some false information and or maybe someone's giving you false hope in a particular area. Understand that we're here for you. We always will be. That's not an issue for us. We don't get involved in the drama. We don't even address it. It's not even worth our time, and we keep moving forward because honestly, our goal is to not exist. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by not exist? It means that hopefully at some point we can correct this system, and then we don't have to have a radio show about correcting these issues or a radio show about this community. Hopefully we can just have a radio show just
we're gonna be
John Schneider after John Schneider.
Yeah, we're gonna be so good that we're gonna put ourselves out of jobs.
That's right.
That's the goal.
And I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I feel real good about that. And folks out there, it's all about reaction. And I say it all the time. It's all about reaction. It's all about that Teflon. Again, whatever people want to say about you, again, it doesn't change what you're going to do that night unless you let it. And trust me, no matter what anyone says, we've all called ourselves worse, right? No matter what it is. I mean, with anybody, it's what you allow to bug you. And you have to look at it too. If it does bug you, you really have to ask yourself why. And it's not that it could be true. What is it that's hitting you? Yep. There are certain things, and it's not about saying it's the actual whatever the person's saying. There's something within the words that's getting to you, and what you do to how you defeat that is it's to go inward and kind of see what it is. That's why my goal too is to be Zenish in the sense to where, again, and it's getting better every day, and Pete and Jay can tell you, I won't get into the details of what I think last night what I said, but it's great. And you know what it is too, because we genuinely love each other. I love these boys, and people, it's just like anything on any relationship. There's ups, downs. I've gotten pissy with Pete and Jay and vice versa because it's emotional, but there's never that time where we don't respect it. I've always said, and I say to my wife privately, I've said it to Jay, I've said on there, no matter what, Jay's heart is pure. He's a good man. I've known him for years, and he's put up with me too. That should tell you something. None of us are perfect, but at their core, Pete McNeil, cried on the phone with him before too. And I'll tell you what, I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of these boys next to me, and it's ride or die, baby. You know when we stop, Jay? When we say so.
That's it.
That's right. That's right. That's definitely right. And I love all of the people out there. I definitely love my FFN fan first, obviously, because behind the scenes, you guys are supportive of me and what I do and how I do it, even, which may seem a little crazy, like a mad scientist every once in a while. And you're all like, why the heck did you do? But they let me go and they let me do my thing, and it rocks, and it ends up being great in the end. And it's awesome, because if you have supportive people in your corner, it's going to be great for you. And honestly, we're looking to build. We're looking to build, and we're looking to grow. So if you're interested in backing up and being a part of this, check out the Far From Normal Radio Show at Facebook, or send us a line at the Far From Normal Radio Show at gmail.com. We'd be more than interested to look into that with you and possibly make you a part of our team.
And what a great word you use, Jay. Yes, absolutely, behind the scenes. And Jay used the word growth. That's what it's about. When you stop growing, you die. You're dead. Right. And it's all about growing, and also about, we all sometimes have to remember we don't always know everything. Again, Jay and I have learned that from each other. Pete and I, we're not always right, too. Keep that open mind and be self-confident enough to say it doesn't matter. Believe me, I've been called worse. And go and do it. Because, again, I say all the time that like before we do the end show notes, if I was going to go watch a movie after this, whether I do or don't, if someone else affects me, it's totally on me. Oh, my God, I can't watch the movie because maybe I am a shitbag. Well, do you know what I mean? I'm going to watch that movie. I'm going to hang out with my wife. I'm going to flirt with her. I'm going to blow kisses at her. Come on, baby. You guys know me. Come on over here, baby. What are you doing with that? Get your butt over here, baby. Get on this lap. Hang out, watch the movie. Again, whatever you choose to do is only affected if you let it affect you. So you just keep loving life, living it. I sat out in the rain, guys, today. It started raining. I had nothing on but kind of lounge around pants, and I sat right in the pouring rain, and I looked straight up and enjoyed. I lived in the moment. I enjoyed every drop on my skin. I made Mason come out with me. I said, get soaked. I put my arm around him. I said,
that's awesome.
This is what it's about. Feel every drop. I looked at the drops on my skin, and I was thankful, and I couldn't wait to come on with you boys tonight. And I'm thankful for everyone out there watching, and you, Jay Moss, my brother, with a capital ER, my capital ER brother.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to your audio there, but I would definitely tell you you're right, because you had your Shawshank Redemption moment out there. It seems like.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Yep.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. He had his Andy Dufresne moment. He was like, crawled through a mile of shit and came out clean on the So awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get into our depressing part of the show. Our shout outs, Mr. Pete McNeil. We're gonna switch
All right. Shout out to my FFN fam, of course. First and foremost, my family, bloodline family, for all the support that they give me. Shout out to my son, even though he doesn't watch the show, he doesn't really know too much about it at all, honestly. But you know what? These are video things for the future. Hopefully we can overcome all the animosity and actually have parents work together at some point and stay out of the courts. Also, shout out to everybody out there, that's maybe having a bad day. Just always remember, keep your heads up, keep fighting, don't surrender. And be sure to watch us on, be sure to follow us on IG, on Instagram, and be sure to follow us on Twitter as well. I wanted to squeeze that in there. We'll actually post the pages on the FFN page. So with that being said, peace out, one love, everybody.
Yep, definitely out there. I'm gonna go ahead and get somebody was messaging me, so I gotta do this real quick here. All right, he gets the car horn here.
There we go.
That one. All right, so Mr. Bud Veno.
Yo, and yo, for the last time tonight, July 24th, 2018, for the last time tonight, J Money Moss, my brother from another mother, Pete, the Real Deal McNeil, everybody out there, our guest David in the first half, second half, Miss Honeybee from New Hampshire. Thank you so much, kids. Looking forward to that. Everybody out there. My brother Shane Jubert, as I mentioned earlier, who came to visit me. I the smile hasn't come off my face, and I know it hasn't for him either. Holly, his wife, Owen, looking forward to meeting you, pal. It was an honor having you here, meeting my family after 25 years. Looking forward to the future. My brother, Kevin Moran, my BBC, everybody out, my Brook Village crew, the King, Roberts, John Palazzo, all my family out there, Lori Parr, my sisters out there. Love you, and to everybody out there, keep those chins up. It's not over till you say it over. It's over. People want to down you. That's nothing, man. That's nothing. Just, you can burn that up, let it go, and enjoy your life. You only get this one. Don't waste a second of it. 1 second, Jay.
Awesome.
And real quick, listen, I have to say to my wife, Alice, and my little special space, and Alice, I love you so much, baby. I can't wait to hang out with you tonight. And I won't keep you up too late making you watch the beginning of the show on YouTube. I'll let you go to bed. And but we're gonna have a lot of fun. She loves watching it. And
awesome.
Again, we're doing great things, guys. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Give me that whip one more time.
He said it when I was playing my drink, Pete. He almost knocked it out of my head.
I would have got blamed for that.
Woo! Yeah.
Awesome. And it looks like I'll reveal. Looks like C.J. Williams. I've been researching what you've suggested, Jay. I want to know what I can do from here. Spreading awareness is important. Yeah, CJ, definitely I will get with you after the show, but I'll tell you this in the meantime, for those out there who want to get involved and send the message out there, send our show out. Send our show out to anyone and everyone that you know, and have them listen in each and every week. That's a great message, because we're going to be having some amazing people come on. Next week, we have lined up Ruth A.S. Nichols, who's great out there with parental alienation and so many great things. The following week, we are hoping, and I believe I've confirmed, to have Ron and Sherry Palmer of Fixed Family Courts back on with a brand new book.
Yes, and I'm going to reach out to them, Jay.
Yes, and the following week, we will have John Schneider, actor from the Dukes of Hazzard, will be live on the Far From Normal radio show. So get people to listen, get people to tune in every single week. Yep, but
Pete, do it with me. We're looking forward. We got shows lined up, baby, and the energy. I'm just gonna sit here and wait till next Tuesday.
Yeah,
let's go next Tuesday. Is it here yet? Love you guys, everybody out there. Go ahead.
Definitely want to say a big shout out to our FFN fam. I know we're getting down here on time, but we love you. We appreciate you. Ruby out there, Mary Jane, and Amanda, Marie out there. I love you guys, and thank you for the support behind the scenes. Definitely our board of directors, who was always behind us 100% in what we're doing. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll be calling on you soon to do bigger and better things coming out shortly. So, as we always say every single week, signing off on the Far From Normal Radio Show, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Cheers up, yeah!
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes. to listen. I need